Rain fell gently from the dark sky, washing over the silent city below. On top of a tall, broken building, an alien girl stood alone at the edge. Her skin was pale blue, glowing softly under the stormy clouds. Her eyes, once full of life, now held only pain. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She simply looked down, watching the wind pull at her long hair. The world below looked cold, distant, peaceful. She thought, maybe if I fall, the pain will stop. Maybe no one will even notice. Her name was Jira. She was once a proud daughter of the Slin race, a people known for grace and light. But they had turned on her, called her cursed, left her behind when the war came. Her arms were shaking. She spread them slowly like wings. One step forward and it would all be over. Then a voice. That's a sad way to fly. Jera froze. She turned. Her head slightly, eyes narrowing. Someone was behind her. A figure stood in the shadows, soaked in the rain like her, but not moving. A human. He stepped forward slowly, showing no weapons, no fear. His voice was calm, deep, gentle. If you're going to fall, he said, at least tell me your name first. Jera's voice was dry. Why would you care? He shrugged. Maybe I don't, or maybe I do. But if you're going to disappear forever, I think someone should know who you were. Silence filled the air. The wind howled around them. Jera looked back down at the street below. My name doesn't matter, she whispered. It does to me, he said. She turned her head a little more, enough to see his face. He looked tired, rough like a man who had seen too much war. A scar ran down his cheek and his jacket was torn. But his eyes were kind. Jera, she said at last. My name is Jera. He nodded once. I'm Cole. Nice to meet you, Jera. She laughed, bitter and broken. Nice? You met me as I was about to jump to my death. Still counts, Cole said. He walked a little closer but stayed careful not to scare her. You don't have to do this. You don't know me. You're right, he said, nodding. I don't, but I know what it feels like to stand where you're standing. And I know how it feels to think no one would care if you were gone. Jera blinked. Something in her chest ached. She looked at him again. Did you try to jump too? He looked away for a moment, then back at her. Yeah, long time ago. Different rooftop, same feeling. What stopped you? He smiled a little. Someone talked to me. Just like I'm talking to you now. Jera was quiet. The rain kept falling. Cole pointed at the glowing mark on her arm. That why they left you? That mark? She nodded slowly. They said it was a curse. Said I'd bring death to everyone near me. So, they left me behind. Locked me out when the ships left. I waited 3 days outside the walls. No food, no water. Her voice cracked. No one came. Cole looked at her. For a long time. Then he said, well, they were wrong. You're still here, aren't you? That means you're stronger than all of them. Jera shook her head. I'm just tired. So tired. I thought if I fell, it would be quiet. No more pain. No more being alone. Cole took a step closer. You're not alone right now. Jera looked down again. The edge was so close. Her toes were over it. One more step. And she stepped back. Just one step. Cole let out a slow breath. He didn't rush forward. He didn't cheer. He just stood there waiting. Jera turned fully toward him, eyes wide and wet. Why did you follow me? Because I saw someone about to give up. And I know what it's like when no one shows up. Jera hugged her arms around herself, shivering. Cole slowly took off his jacket and offered it. She hesitated, then took it with shaking hands. They stood in silence for a while. Then Cole said, Come on, I have a small fire going down the hill. It's not much, but it's warm. She didn't move at first. Then, finally, she nodded. Zhra didn't sleep that night. Not because she was scared of the dark, or because of the cold wind that slipped through the broken building walls, but because of the human Dot. His voice still echoed in her mind. "You're not alone, right now." She sat near the small fire Cole had made inside a half-destroyed warehouse at the edge of the ruined city. It wasn't much, just broken crates, some dry sticks, and an old metal pot with boiling water, but it was the first warmth she had felt in days. Cole sat across from her, leaning back on a wall, silent. He didn't ask questions. He didn't force her to talk, but Jera spoke anyway. "Do you want to know why they left me?" she asked suddenly. Cole opened his eyes and looked at her. He didn't smile, didn't nod, he just listened. "My people believed I was bad luck." She touched the mark glowing faintly on her forearm. This was the reason. They said anyone born with this would bring death." Cole tilted his head. "But you're not dead. And no one around you is either." "They were afraid of me," she whispered. "Even my own mother." She pulled her knees to her chest, wrapping her arms around them. "The day the war started, the city gates closed. I ran to catch the last ship. I begged them, screamed. My father looked straight at me from the window of the ship." Her voice cracked, and he turned away. Cole looked into the fire for a while, then said softly, "You were just a child, weren't you?" Jera nodded. 12 cycles old. "They left me outside the gates. I hid in an old drain pipe. The battle lasted hours, bombs, fire, screams, and when it ended, everything was gone." Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ration bar. He offered it silently. She hesitated, then took it. "You're strange, human. I get that a lot." Jera stared at him. "Why are you here? Why stay in this broken city?" Cole looked at the cracked ceiling above, where the stars peeked through holes, looking for something I lost. She raised an eyebrow. "What?" "My squad. My ship crashed during the war. I was the only one who survived. I stayed, hoping maybe someone else did too, but no one came." He paused, just like no one came for you. The silence between them was heavy but not painful. "It was shared," Jera whispered. "I used to dream of the stars. I wanted to be a pilot, travel far from this world. But now I just want to survive one more day." Cole gave a small smile. "That's a good place to start." She looked down at the fire, thinking, "Do you think I'm cursed?" she asked suddenly. Cole leaned forward. "Do you think I'd be sitting here, sharing food and fire with a cursed person?" Jera's lips trembled. For a moment, she looked like she would cry, but she didn't. Instead, she asked, "What happens now?" Cole stood up and walked to a corner. He rolled out a second-old blanket and tossed it near her. "Now you sleep. And tomorrow we figure out where you want to go, or what you want to become." She stared at him. "You're not leaving?" "Not unless you want me to." Jera looked at the blanket, then at the fire, and finally at Cole. "I don't want you to go," she said, voice small. He nodded once. "Then I stay." That night, for the first time in many moons, Jera laid her head down, not to die, but to rest. Outside, the wind still howled, but inside the ruined building, something fragile had begun to grow. Hope. Asterisk. The smell woke her up. Jera's eyes fluttered open. For a second, she didn't know where she was. The sky was still gray, the wind still cold. But something had changed. It smelled good. Her nose twitched as she sat up slowly. There, a few feet away, Cole stood over a small fire, cooking something in an old metal pan. Jera blinked. "Is that food?" Cole looked over his shoulder and smiled faintly. "Sort of. It's not royal feast stuff, but it won't kill you." He poked the sizzling mixture with a stick. The pieces were small, brown, and gave off a warm, earthy smell she didn't recognize, but it made her stomach growl. Loudly. She flushed with embarrassment and hugged her knees. "Sorry." Cole laughed lightly. "Don't be." That's the sound of someone still alive. He poured half the cooked mix into a cracked bowl and handed it to her. Zira took it carefully, sniffed it, then looked at him suspiciously. What is it? Desert crawler meat and dried root pieces. Found both near the ruins yesterday. Wasn't sure you'd still be here to eat it. Her fingers paused. You thought I'd still jump? Cole's voice lowered. I hoped you wouldn't. But I've seen people change their minds at the last minute. And change them again the next morning. Jera stared at the food. She took a small bite, and her eyes widened. It tasted amazing. Not because it was fancy, not because it was well cooked, but because it was warm, real, made for her. She ate, slowly, trying not to look greedy. But her hands shook from hunger. Cole didn't stare. He just ate his own share and watched the fire. When she finished, Jera looked up. Thank you. Don't mention it. She set the bowl down and leaned back against a broken wall. No one's ever cooked for me before. Cole raised an eyebrow. Not even family? She shook her head. Servants did, not out of care, just duty. But no one ever gave me food because they wanted me to live. The words hung heavy in the air. Cole stirred the fire with a stick. Well, I'm just a human. We do strange things. Like caring about strangers. She smiled faintly. Strange, but nice. For a while they sat in silence. The fire crackled. The wind outside whispered through cracks in the walls. Then Cole stood. Stay here. I need to check something. Jera blinked. What? Where are you going? Won't be far, he said, slipping a small device into his belt and grabbing a knife. I saw smoke yesterday. Could be a crashed supply pod. If it's still there, I might find water filters or power cells. Jera's eyes widened. You're going out there alone? I've done worse. He gave her a steady look. Keep the fire going. Don't open the door for anyone except me. She nodded slowly. Okay. Be careful. Cole turned and walked out, the metal door creaking behind him. As soon as he was gone, Jera stood and looked around. She explored the small hideout. It wasn't much, but she saw signs he had been living here a while. Maps, tools, a picture of a group of humans, probably his squad torn and faded. She found a blanket and sat down, pulling it over her shoulders, but then, a noise outside. Footsteps. Heavy. Not human. Zihera froze. Her heart pounded in her chest. The fire flickered. Shadows moved outside the broken window. A shape passed by. Tall, thin, insect-like legs. Yellow armor, bounty hunter. Her breath caught. She remembered their face. They had hunted her before. Chased her through burning fields. She had escaped only by hiding under the dead. And now, they were here. Jera backed away from the door, panic rising, but then her eyes landed on the bowl Cole had given her. The food, the fire, his voice. You're not alone right now. She clenched her fists. Not this time. I won't run. Not again. She was not alone anymore, and now, that was dangerous. Jera pressed her back against the cold wall, her glowing eyes fixed on the shadow moving outside the broken window. The shape was tall, metal armor, insect-like limbs clicking. Softly on the wet ground. She didn't need to guess. Bounty hunter. She had seen his kind before. Cold, fast, no heart, no mercy. Jera clutched the small knife Cole had left near the supplies. Her hands trembled, but her breath slowed. She remembered what Cole said that morning. If you're still breathing, you're still fighting. The bounty hunter stepped closer to the door. His voice was like oil, slippery and cruel. Jera of the Slin. I know you're in there. Your mark glows, even when you hide. Jera gasped and quickly covered her arm with the blanket. You're worth good credits, the hunter continued. Dead or alive, but I prefer alive. It screams better. Her stomach twisted. Fear tried to take control. Her mind said, run, hide, cry, but her heart whispered, Cole saved you. Now save yourself. The door creaked. She backed up fast. Then, boom! The door burst open, slammed by a metal foot. Dust flew. Firelight flickered. The bounty hunter stepped inside. Yellow armor. Long rifle. Sharp teeth behind a glass mask. Jera held the knife tighter. Tiny, useless, but it was something. Where's your human pet? The hunter hissed. Gone. Good. He can't protect you anymore. Jera's lips trembled, but she didn't scream. I'm not afraid of you. The hunter laughed. You should be. He raised the rifle. Jera closed her eyes. And then a loud crack echoed. The hunter stumbled backward. Sparks flying off his shoulder. He roared in pain. Cole. He stood in the doorway, breathing hard, a plasma pistol in one hand, blood on his lip. Get away from her, Cole growled. Jera's eyes widened. He had come back. The hunter spun and fired. Cole rolled behind a crate. The shot missed by inches. Jera didn't think. She grabbed a rock and threw it at the hunter's head. It hit. Hunter turned in rage, just as Cole fired again. This time, the blast hit the hunter's knee. He dropped to the floor, shrieking in pain. Cole rushed forward, tackled the hunter, and slammed the pistol against his helmet. Cracked out. The glass shattered. The hunter gasped, reached for a blade. Jera jumped in, stabbing down with the little knife. Not once, 3 times. Silence fell. The hunter stopped moving. Jera dropped the knife. Her whole body shook. Her hands were covered in dark blue blood. Cole stood, breathing hard. You okay? Jera stared at the body, then at Cole, then nodded slowly. I didn't run this time, she whispered. Cole looked at her, really looked, and nodded with quiet pride. Double quotes. No, you didn't. He limped over to the door, looking outside. There might be more. We need to move. Jera took a deep breath. Where? Cole grabbed a bag and tossed her a jacket. Somewhere they won't find us. You still want to live, don't you? She looked at the fire, the broken bowl, the shattered helmet on the floor, then at Cole. Yes, she said firmly. I want to live. Asterisk. The first time Jera held a weapon with purpose. Her hands didn't shake. They had been walking for hours through broken streets, over quiet hills, far from the city where she almost ended everything. Now they were hiding in the bones of an old ship, half buried in the sand. The wind howled outside, but inside was silent, calm, safe. Cole laid out a few old weapons out of metal. Table blasters, knives, training rods. He didn't say much, just looked at her and said, You ready? Jera nodded. No more hiding. No more waiting to be saved. Now she wanted to fight. The training began. At first, she missed every swing. Her feet slipped. Her balance was weak. She cursed. She growled. But Cole never shouted. He just smiled and said, Good, you're learning. Jera glared. I'm not good at this. No one is at first. She tried again and again. Hours passed. Then, dazed. Each time she fell, she stood faster. Each mistake made her sharper. And then, one morning, as the sun rose over the cracked desert, she blocked Cole's strike perfectly. He smiled wide. Now you're dangerous. Jera looked down at her hands. They weren't trembling anymore. Something had changed. That night, they sat by a small fire in the ship's engine room. The stars above them blinked through the open roof. Jera stared into the flames. Cole, she said softly, do you believe in fate? He took a sip from his canteen and thought for a moment. I believe in choices. Jera tilted her head. What do you mean? I think fate gives us moments, he said. But it's our choice what we do in them. She looked down at her arm. The mark glowed softly. My people said this mark would bring death. Cole leaned forward. Maybe it brings strength instead. Maybe they were scared of that. Jera's eyes lit up. They didn't fear me because I was weak. They feared me because I could be strong. Cole nodded. Now you're thinking like a warrior. Later that night, as Cole slept, Jera stood outside the ship and looked up. At the stars, she raised her hand, watching the mark glow under the moonlight. For the first time, she didn't feel ashamed of it. She felt powerful. Suddenly, something inside her chest pulsed like a spark. Her fingertips glowed. Just for a second, she gasped. The fire inside her was real. She wasn't cursed. She was special. The next morning, she didn't tell Cole what she felt. Not yet. But when he handed her the training staff, she smiled. And when she moved, it was faster, smoother, stronger. Cole noticed. You're changing, Jera whispered under her breath. No. I'm awakening. But far across the desert, in the shadows of a dead tower, someone watched her. A small device blinked red. A voice spoke into the dark. Target is alive. And growing stronger. Another voice answered. Then we strike before she becomes unstoppable. Asterisk, the dream felt too real. Z8er stood in a glowing forest. Blue leaves shimmered above her. Strange lights floated in the air like fireflies. In the center of the trees was a mirror, but it didn't show her reflection. It showed her younger self crying. Shaking, alone. Then the mirror cracked. From the cracks, fire poured out. Bright, wild, alive. And from the flames, she saw her face again. But this time, her eyes were glowing gold. Wake up, Jera. The voice wasn't in the dream. It was real. Jera's eyes snapped open. Cole stood over her, his face serious. The morning light made the inside of the ship glow orange. We have a problem. He handed her a metal chip. It showed a map, red lights flashing near their location. They found us, he said. Whoever's after you, they're closing in. Jera looked up, her voice calm. Then we stopped running. Cole blinked. Are you sure? She nodded. I'm not the same girl who wanted to jump. Later that day, as they packed gear, Jera found something strange in Cole's bag, a small cube, silver and glowing faintly. What's this? She asked. Cole's face went still. He walked over slowly and took it from her hands. I was going to tell you soon, he said. It's time. He pressed a button. The cube projected a small image in the air, an old recording. Alien scientists. Charts. Her people. And Jera as a child. In a lab. What is this? She whispered. Cole looked away. You were part of something. Secret. Hidden by your leaders, your mark. It's not a curse, it's a code. You're a result of an experiment meant to unlock ancient energy that only your race once had. Jera stepped back, heart pounding. You knew this? I only found the recording after rescuing a scout drone from your homeworld. I didn't know it was you, not until I saw the mark. You lied to me. No, he said firmly. I protected you. You needed time to grow, to become strong. Jera's hands glowed faintly. Not from anger, but from power awakening again. She looked at the image of herself as a child. They didn't fear me because I was dangerous. They feared me because I was different. Because I was stronger than their rules allowed. Cole nodded. Slowly, your people erased the truth. But now you can choose what to do with it. Jera turned off the cube and closed her eyes. For a moment, there was only silence. Then she whispered, I choose to fight. That night, she stood outside the ship, looking at the stars again. Her fingers glowed brighter than before. Cole stepped beside her. Do you regret it? He asked. Living? She replied. No, not anymore. He nodded. Then she asked him something new. Why did you really come back to save me that night? On the rooftop? Cole was quiet for a moment. Then he said, because when I looked at you, I saw myself. I saw someone who didn't deserve to be broken. And I knew if I walked away, I'd be the one who jumped. Jera looked at him, eyes soft. No words were spoken, But something changed between them in that silence, not just trust. Something deeper. Far away, in the sky above, 3 small crafts broke through the clouds. They were coming. And this time, Jera would be ready. She stood at the edge again. Same rooftop, same storm, same wind. But this time, she wasn't shaking. This time, she wasn't thinking about jumping. Jera stood tall, her cloak blowing behind her, the glowing mark on her arm shining like fire. Her golden eyes looked down not with fear, but with focus. Behind her, Cole loaded his blaster. Above them, the sky was burning. 3 bounty ships roared through the clouds, dropping black metal pods. Soldiers in armor fell like shadows toward the city ruins. Jera took a deep breath. They came for the broken girl, she said. But they'll find something else waiting. Cole grinned. Let's make them regret showing up. The battle hit fast. Explosions tore up the old streets. Dust choked the air. Alien mercenaries stormed through the alleys, scanning for heat signs, shouting orders. But they weren't ready for her. Jera leapt from the rooftop, not to fall, but to fly. Energy inside her exploded like light. Her arms glowed and golden fire trailed behind her as she landed in the center of the enemy squad. Boom! A wave of force sent armored bodies flying. Cole fired from above, covering her as she moved. One by one, they fell. Jera didn't need a weapon. She was the weapon. A larger bounty hunter stepped forward. The leader, twice her size, blades on both arms, thick armor. So, this is the freak they fear? He growled. Jera stepped forward calmly. No, I'm the memory they tried to erase. He charged. She didn't run. Her mark pulsed bright, blinding, and when his blade came down, she caught it. With her bare hand, then crushed it. Gasps, screams, she spun. Fire in her fists, light in her eyes. And when she was done, only silence remained. After the fight, the ruins were quiet again. Smoke curled into the sky. The enemy ships were gone. Or broken. Cole walked to her, limping, bleeding from a cut above his eye. Jera turned to him. It's over, he said. She shook her head. No, it's just beginning. That evening, they returned to the same rooftop where it all started. Jera stood at the edge again. Cole watched her carefully. You okay? He asked. She smiled softly. I came here to jump, to disappear. She looked out at the sky, clear now, with stars shining bright. But you spoke. You stayed, you listened. She turned to him fully, and because of that, I lived. Cole looked into her glowing eyes. You saved yourself, Jera. She stepped forward, close enough to hear his heartbeat. No, she whispered. We saved each other. Far above, the stars watched silently. But somewhere in the galaxy, her people would hear the story, that the cursed girl rose, that the forgotten one burned brighter than any flame, and that one human's words, simple, kind, and real, had changed everything.